Ciao, and welcome back to Immersion Travel Italy, where we don't just visit Italy, we experience it. I'm Caterina Ferrara, travel author, blogger, and your host. This is episode 5 of our Regional Capitals of Italy series. Today, we're heading to Italy's most unexpected city, Trieste. Trieste sits in the country's far northeast corner, so close to Slovenia that you could walk there in 20 minutes. Austria isn't much further. This is the capital of Friuli, Venezia Giulia, and it doesn't look or feel like Italy that most travelers know. The architecture is Austro Hungarian. The cafe culture rivals Vienna's. The seafront promenade stretches wide and elegant along the Adriatic. And the history? It's complicated because Trieste only became fully Italian in the 20th century. Trieste is a major port that had become a haven for writers, intellectuals, and exiles, a place where the Alps meet the sea, where Italian blends in with Slovenian and German influences, where you can stand on the Molo Adige pier, look across the water, and understand why the city has always been at a crossroads, geographically, culturally, and linguistically. Trieste is coastal but not Mediterranean in the classic sense. It's Italian, but with a Central European sensibility that sets it apart from Rome, Florence, or even Venice. Many travelers overlook Trieste, maybe because it's 6 hours from Rome or 5 from Florence, but it's absolutely worth the journey. We were glad we made the trip, and I think you will be too. To be honest, Trieste surprised me. We arrived expecting something quiet, maybe a little reserved. What we found was a city with a particular kind of energy and elegance, less ornate than Venice, more restrained than Rome, confident in its own way. The coffee culture grabbed us immediately. Now, if you listened to my Milan episode, you might remember that after years of studying Italian, immersing myself in the Italian culture, and watching endless Italian television, I decided at an adult age that I was going to start drinking coffee to be more Italian. My first espresso was in Piazza Duomo in Milan, a somewhat dramatic debut. But Trieste was also a part of that same trip. And this is where I really began to understand what Italian coffee culture means. Trieste is where Italy's obsession with coffee began, and it became an industry and a ritual. Historic cafes here aren't just beautiful, they're institution. One morning at Cafe San Marco, opened in 1914, surrounded by dark wood paneling, marble tiles, and shelves of books. I sat there, a brand new coffee drinker, trying to look like I'd been doing it my whole life. And I realized this wasn't a place to just drink espresso. It's a living room, a reading room, a gathering place that's been absorbing conversations for over a century. The geography struck me too. Trieste curves along the water in a graceful arc, backed by limestone cliffs and the Carso Plateau. In front, the Adriatic shimmering and deceptively calm. Behind, the forested ridges that rise quickly above sea level. The city sits between two forces, land and water, north and south, Italy and Central Europe. You don't just arrive in Trieste, you step across the threshold. The history of Trieste stretches back over 2,000 years. The Roman knew it as Tergeste, a strategic settlement near the Adriatic coast. For centuries, it remained modest, prosperous but peripheral. The geography gave it potential, and potential always draws empires. After Rome fell, the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 AD. Trieste passed through Byzantine hands, then Lombard, then Frankish. It became a free commune in the medieval period, governed by a bishop prince, and later by its own council. But it was small, vulnerable, and caught between larger powers, Venice to the west and the Holy Roman Empire to the north. In the 14th century, Trieste sought protection from their growing Venetian presence and turned instead to the Habsburgs. That single decision changed the city's destiny. For over 500 years, Trieste would serve as the Austro Hungarian Empire's principal port. By the 18th and 19th centuries, it had become the empire's maritime jewel. Free from customs restrictions, the port of Trieste boomed. Ships arrived from across the Mediterranean carrying spices, coffee, textiles, and grain. Insurance companies, shipping firms, and trading houses set up elegant headquarters in neoclassical palazzi that still line the harbor. In this period, Trieste transformed from a provincial town into a cosmopolitan center. Walking Trieste streets, you still feel the Habsburg presence. Piazza Unità d'Italia, one of Europe's largest sea-facing squares, feels imperial. It opens wide to the water, flanked by ornate government buildings. It's never meant to be cozy, it's meant to impress. Trieste's architecture reflects this era. Neo-Renaissance facades, Art Nouveau balconies, and 19th century boulevards that make it feel more Middle Europe than Mediterranean. This is a city of layers where Italians, Slovenians, Austrians, Croats, and Greeks lived side by side, forming a mosaic of cultures that could only exist in a borderland. Under Habsburg rule, Trieste became unusually tolerant for the time. Jewish families were welcomed without restrictions imposed by other Italian cities. No Jewish ghettos, no limitations on professions or property ownership. The result was a thriving Jewish community that contributed significantly to Trieste's commercial and intellectual life. This openness extended to other groups as well, making Trieste a refuge for those seeking economic opportunity and freedom. And at the center of it all, commerce and coffee. Trieste's coffee tradition isn't just about espresso at the bar. It's about trade routes, roasting houses, and rituals. When you drink coffee in Trieste, you're tasting the port's past. Illy, one of the world's largest and most famous coffee brands, was founded here in 1933, and the city still remains a hub for coffee imports, blending, and roasting, and the coffee festival. But beyond the industry and the ritual, cafes like Caffè San Marco, Caffè degli Specchi, and Caffè Tomaseo are not just places to drink. They're places to think. This is where writers gathered, where newspapers were read slowly, where identities were debated. Even the way people order coffee in Trieste is different. Don't be surprised if you hear your capo in B, short for cappuccino in a bicchiere or glass, draws a puzzled look outside of Trieste. Trieste has its own dialect and its own coffee rules. Trieste's influence goes beyond trade and empire. It's one of the great literary capitals of Europe. James Joyce lived here and worked here for over a decade. He arrived in 1904 and taught English at the Burlet School while working on Dubliners, a portrait of the artist as a young man, and his early draft of Ulysses. Trieste shaped him, a polyglot atmosphere, its sense of exile, its cafes full of contradiction. But Joyce was not alone. The city also nurtured Italo Svevo, whose novel Zeno's Conscience remains a landmark of modernist literature. Writers like Umberto Saba, Claudio Magris, and others made Trieste their canvas, exploring memory and belonging. For literary travelers, Trieste is a pilgrimage site. The fall of the Austro Hungarian Empire after World War I brought massive change to the area. Trieste became part of Italy in 1918, but the tradition was not smooth. For many residents, Italian was not their first language. For others, it was a long-awaited homecoming. Identity became political. Street names changed. Borders were redrawn. During World War II, the city endured occupation by Nazi Germany and later Yugoslav forces. The post-war years were among the most complex. From 1947 to 1954, Trieste was designated the Free Territory of Trieste, split into two zones under Allied and Yugoslav control. Only in 1954 did Trieste join Italy, a fact that still feels recent in the city. Even today, the border lies just minutes away. Signs appear in both Italian and Slovene. Families straddle nations, jobs are across the border, and Trieste remains a city of thresholds. Trieste's modern story is also of knowledge. In 1924, the University of Trieste was officially founded, giving institutional shape to the city's long-standing commitment to education and ideas. Today, the university enrolls over 15,000 students, and its presence is woven into the fabric of the city. Walk through the center and you'll hear the hum of academic life. Students gathered in cafes, bookstores tucked into side streets, lectures spilling into courtyards. Thanks to its position as the crossroads of East and West and its historical role as a neutral port, Trieste became the center of the international scientific collaboration during the Cold War. It is now home to several world-class research institutions, including the ICTP, the SISA, SISSA, the International School for Advanced Studies, and OGS, the National Institute for Oceanography and Experimental Geophysics. Together, these institutions have earned Trieste a reputation as Italy's city of science, particularly in marine and physical sciences. Modern Trieste is quiet, intellectual, and fiercely proud of its unique position. You experience this as you walk along the Rive, past the Molo Adige, and feel the sea breeze. You taste it in Jota, a sour bean and sauerkraut soup that speaks of Slavic winters and Italian kitchens. You hear it in the blend of languages spoken in the market, and you see it in the faces of the people, at once Italian, Central European, and Mediterranean. We're going to begin our walking tour from the hilltop, where the city spreads below with views of the Adriatic that stretch until it meets the sky. Of course, we're going to begin at Trieste's Duomo called the Cathedral of San Giusto. It's located on San Giusto Hill. Trieste Cathedral doesn't dominate the skyline, it rises from it. The Cathedral di San Giusto feels more like a fortified chapel than a grand basilica. This unusual structure was created in the 14th century when two earlier churches, one dedicated to the Virgin Mary and the other to Saint Giusto, Trieste's patron saint, were fused together. This result is angular, bare stone, Romanesque arches, and a simple rose window. Inside, you find some of the most beautiful medieval mosaics in northeastern Italy. The 12th and 13th century Byzantine-style mosaics in the side apse glow with gold, echoing the grandeur of nearby Ravenna and Aquileia. The contrast between plain stone walls and shimmering mosaics creates a beautiful tension between earth and heaven, simplicity and splendor. You can also visit the crypt, climb to the bell tower with the Roman stones embedded in space, and explore a small museum tracing Trieste's Catholic history through relics and liturgical objects. Right next to the cathedral is the Castello di San Giusto. Since we're already here, let's walk the short distance to the medieval fortress that crowns this hill. The climb is minimal and the views are more than worth it. From the ramparts, you'll see all of Trieste, the Adriatic unfolding, the old town rooftops, the Carso cliffs behind. This hill has been fortified since Roman times. Traces of the Roman Forum and Basilica still lie scattered near the castle walls. Inside the castle, small museums tell the story of Trieste's defenses. Outside, stone paths and gardens invite you to linger. Now we're going to descend to the city below. As we make our way down the hill, we'll enter the Città Vecchia, Trieste's old town center. Here, narrow alleyways twist between buildings that lean and settle with age. Clotheslines stretch overhead. Stone steps echo with stories. From the old corridor, we'll continue down the hill to the waterfront, to Piazza Unità d'Italia. This vast, sea-facing square is unlike any in Italy. The space feels more like Vienna than Venice, more imperial than Baroque. Trieste was a major port of the Austro Hungarian Empire, and this square was designed to impress visiting merchants, administrators, and emperors. You stand not just in a civic space, but on a maritime stage. Behind you, ornate buildings with grand balconies and Viennese symmetry. In front of you, open sky, wind, and sea. No barriers, just blue. The palaces that frame the piazza, Palazzo del Municipio, Palazzo del Lloyd Trestino, Palazzo Petteri, each tell a chapter of the city's economic past. At night, they're lit from below and the square glows with elegance. Here, you can stop for a coffee, as we did. The Caffè degli Specchi sits directly on Piazza Unità and has been open since 1839. Sitting at a table here, especially in the morning light, feels like you're inside of a photograph. My husband and I ordered our cappuccinos, Capo and B, Trieste's beloved mini cappuccino served in a small glass, and a Krepfen, a sweet apricot pastry that traces its roots to Austria. We watched the city wake up. Elegant couples sipped their espresso and read newspapers. Waiters in black vests moved briskly. A sea breeze tugged at the tablecloths. From the cafe, we crossed the square to the Molo Adige, a long stone pier that stretches 200 meters into the Adriatic. It was built on the remains of a sunken ship from the 18th century. Walk out to the end, we pass the cruise ships, feel the wind, and look at the city. From the waterfront, we headed north to the Borgo Teresiano, the 18th century district developed under Empress Maria Theresa of Austria. She's one of my favorites, unlike Napoleon. The Great Canal of Trieste isn't dramatic like a Venetian waterway. It's functional, quiet, flanked by pastel facades and mooring posts. Boats bob gently. Teenagers gather along the railings. Just beyond the canal is the Chiesa di Sant'Antonio Temergio, a neoclassical church that anchors the neighborhood. Its columns and pediment seem more Greek Revival than Italian Catholic, another reminder of how this city blended influence. Here we'll take another pause, this time for some pastries at the Pasticceria La Bombiniera. This historic pastry shop has been serving Austro-Italian confection since 1836. Inside, glass cases gleam with persins, a spiral pastry filled with dried fruits and spices. Putizza, a dense walnut and chocolate roll, and Sacher torte that rivals Vienna's. We chose our sweets and a warm apple strudel, flaky and fragrant, sitting under the old-fashioned ceiling fan surrounded by locals ordering cakes for special occasions. We felt like we had stumbled into a hidden piece of Trieste's past and present. Continuing inland, we pass the Via del Monte to enter the historic Jewish quarter, where synagogues, schools, and kosher shops once thrived. Trieste was home to one of Italy's most prominent Jewish communities, especially in the 19th and 20th centuries. The Synagogue of Trieste, completed in 1912, is one of the largest in Europe. It blends Romanesque and Byzantine styles with a soaring dome and intricate stonework that speaks to the community's wealth and influence. If you don't go inside, standing outside and reading the plaques along the walls is a humbling reminder of both flourishing and persecution. By now on your walk, it's probably time for lunch. For traditional Triestine cuisine, you have excellent options. Buffet da Pepi is a Trieste institution serving Austro Hungarian fare, pork dishes, sauerkraut, goulash with polenta, and their famous caldaya, mixed boiled meats. It's a local favorite since the 19th century. Or consider Antica Trattoria Subin, founded in 1865 in the San Giovanni district. This family-owned restaurant offers classic recipes with care and tradition. To close the day, we took a short ride north to the Castello di Miramare, perched dramatically above the sea. This 19th century castle was built for Archduke Ferdinand Maximilian of Austria and feels like something out of a fairy tale. White limestone, sea gardens, romantic balconies. We didn't go inside. We simply walked the surrounding paths and watched the sun lower here. It's quiet here, just sea and sky. For dinner, we returned to the center and chose Osteria da Marino, a small, warmly lit restaurant tucked in a side street on Via del Ponte near Piazza della Borsa. This historic osteria, dating back to 1925, serves authentic cuisine with excellent local wines. The owner and staff are known for their welcoming hospitality and expert wine recommendations. We tried the gnocchi with ragu. We also tried their beef. The wine list is local, Friulano wines, light reds that pair perfectly with rustic hearty dishes. Next, we need to talk about some festivals of Trieste. The first one is Barcolana Regatta, held on the second Sunday of October. This is a boat race, and it's also the largest regatta in the world, and one of Trieste's most proud traditions. Every October, thousands of sailboats gather in the Gulf of Trieste, creating a spectacle unlike anything else in Italy. When this event began in 1969, it was just 51 boats. By 2018, it set the Guinness World Record with 2,689 vessels, earning it the title of the largest sailing race in the world. From Piazza Unità and the Molo, the view is extraordinary. The race starts right in front of the city. Locals line the shoreline to cheer on their boats. Boats arrive from Trieste, Croatia, Slovenia, Austria, and beyond. But Barcolana is an entire week of events. It includes concerts, food stalls, entertainment, workshops, and nautical exhibitions. This is the maritime identity of the city on full display. Trieste is also known for its film festival, held the third week in January. This is one of Italy's most important cinematic events, but with a twist. The one here doesn't focus on Hollywood or Cannes-style glamour. Instead, this film festival shines a spotlight on cinema from Central and Eastern Europe, offering Italian audiences rare access to films from Slovenia, the Balkans, Hungary, Poland, and beyond. Founded in 1989, just as the Berlin Wall was falling, this festival explores themes of identity, memory, border politics, and language, issues that have always reshaped Trieste itself. Screenings are held in atmospheric theaters around the city, including the historic Teatro Miele and Politeama Rossi. The vibe is intellectual, curious, and international. Trieste Loves Jazz is a summer festival held July through September. This city comes alive with music during this series of concerts that takes place in city squares, courtyards, and museum gardens. From local artists to international headliners, this festival celebrates the connection. Many concerts are free and outdoors, drawing a diverse, relaxed crowd. You'll see locals sipping Aperol and listening to a Slovenian jazz trio. It is Europe in the squares, open, borderless, and full of rhythm. I also mentioned earlier that Trieste is known for its coffee festival, which takes place in November. The Trieste Coffee Festival celebrates the city's historic role as Italy's coffee capital. Expect tastings, barista competitions, workshops on brewing techniques, and historical exhibitions about the port's role in global coffee trade. You'll sample blends from Italy and other major roasters and learn about Trieste's unique coffee offerings. It's part tasting, part cultural deep dive, and all local. Trieste is a city where the idea of a day trip is not regional, it's international. You can eat breakfast overlooking the Adriatic in Italy, lunch in Slovenia, and still be back in time for dinner. Geography, history, and proximity combine here in a way that makes cross-border travel not only possible but easy, tiring, and revealing. We did a day trip from here to Piran and Koper. The round trip time is about an hour and 40 minutes. A passport is required, but there's no Schengen border stop. We took it just in case. Our first stop was Piran. It took about 45 minutes to get there from Trieste by car, and Piran looks like a Venetian painting come to life. The old town stretches out onto a narrow peninsula surrounded by sea on three sides. Red rooftops, winding alleys, and Gothic Venetian facades create the atmosphere that is both intimate and majestic. Piran was under Venetian control for centuries, and it shows in the lion statues, the stone balconies, and the rhythms of the streets. You'll want to see Tartini Square, named after violinist Giuseppe Tartini. This elliptical piazza is ringed with pastel buildings and anchored by the town hall and elegant porticos. It's a stunning piazza. You'll also visit St. George's Cathedral. We climbed the bell tower for sweeping views of the sea and coastlines of Slovenia, Italy, and Croatia. You'll also walk the city walls. These are medieval walls and towers, and they are very Instagram worthy. You don't have to do much here. Just stroll the alleys, have a seafood lunch on the water, and a cappuccino in Tartini Square, and you're done for the day. Your second stop would be Koper. It's 30 minutes from Piran and then another 35 back to Trieste. Koper is Slovenia's main port city. It has one of the most beautiful historic centers on the Adriatic coast. Where Piran is romantic, Koper is noble. Visit Tito Square. Here, the Praetorian Palace, which is a 15th century Gothic Renaissance palace, will show you beauty of the area. The Cathedral of Assumption, with a tower you can climb for panoramic views. There's also charming cafés and gelato shops tucked into courtyards. We loved Koper. You can shop for local olive oil or try burek, a savory pastry filled with cheese or spinach, a perfect road snack. By late afternoon, we made the short drive back to Trieste, seeing the two countries, the three languages, and a coastline that constantly changes, but always feels connected. If you're not in a car, Trieste is very accessible by train. Our first town is Udine. It's about an hour and 30 minutes, and trains run frequently. The historic city of Friuli feels more Central European than Mediterranean. You'll walk through Piazza della Libertà, one of the most beautiful squares in Italy, framed by Venetian-style arcades, and the Loggia di Leonello, to Udine Castle for sweeping views of rooftops and the Alps. Visit the Diocesan Museum, which houses art by Tiepolo, and stop for lunch at a traditional osteria serving frico, fried Montezio cheese and potatoes. Udine is perfect for those who want an elegant city with great art, friendly locals, and excellent wines. Another day trip is in Slovenia. It's 1 hour by train. Gorizia is on the Italian side of the border. Nova Gorica is on the Slovenian side. For decades during the Cold War, they were separated by a wall, like the Berlin Wall. But today you can walk freely between them in Europe's only cross-border piazza, Piazza Transalpina, where one half of the square lies in Italy and the other in Slovenia. The Castle Gorizia offers a glimpse of the Austro Hungarian past, while Nova Gorica blends Slovenian charm with green parks and a vibrant cafe scene. Our next stop is Cividale di Friuli. It's about an hour and 45 minutes by train. You'll go through Udine to get there. If you want to step back into the early Middle Ages, this is your place. This is one of Friuli Venezia Giulia's hidden gems, a small town with deep roots, elegant streets, and a unique Lombard heritage that earned it a UNESCO World Heritage recognition. You'll want to see the Ponte del Diavolo, the Devil's Bridge. It spans the Natisone River. This iconic bridge is wrapped in legend. The views from here are stunning. Turquoise water cutting through steep stone cliffs with tiled rooftops overhead. The second stop is Tempietto Longobardo. This is an 8th century Lombard chapel, and it is one of the most important early medieval structures in Italy. Its interior is remarkably preserved, with stone carvings and frescoes that give you a rare glimpse into pre-Romanesque spirituality. There's also a National Archaeological Museum, housed in a former palace. The museum contains treasures from the Lombard period, including jewelry, weapons, and early Christian artifacts. The historic center is lovely. Stroll the cobbled streets with artisan shops, wine bars, and bakeries. The vibe here is serene, with a quiet beauty that rewards curiosity. We found a cozy spot that served chardsons, a traditional Friulian stuffed pasta filled with herbs, raisins, and sometimes a hit of cocoa. topped with melted butter and smoked ricotta. It's sweet, savory, and unlike anything else in Italy. When we head back to Trieste, I need to mention our aperitivo with a few options. Less flamboyant than Milan, but aperitivo is no less beloved here. Local wines from the Carso Hills are crisp, salty, and made to be sipped at golden hour. Many bars serve them with prosciutto, San Daniele, local cheeses, olives, and anchovies. Our top picks for aperitivo hour is La Bottiglia Volante, a hip, low-key spot near a canal with natural wines and small plates. But there's also the Caffè degli Specchi for classic, elegant aperitivo in Piazza Unità, or Enoteca Nanut, a quieter side street but well-curated regional wines. As we wrap up this episode on Trieste, as they say in Italian, or Trieste, as we say in English, I hope you've sensed what makes this city so extraordinary. At the northern edge of Italy, where Latin, Slavic, and Germanic cultures meet, Trieste invites you to slow down and observe. It's a city that rewards curiosity, a place shaped by cafés and sea breezes, writers, revolutionaries, and shifting borders. As you may know, I'm writing a travel guide for every region of Italy, and there are 20 regions. So far, I've completed Sicily, Puglia, Milan and Lombardy, Lazio, that's with Rome and its surrounding regions, and the Veneto, which of course is Venice. Each guide has walking tours, history, hidden gems, and immersive travel experiences. Now, I have to be honest with you. I can write about a book a year, and I've got Umbria coming this year, and I've got Tuscany coming next year. So I don't know exactly when I'll get to this region of Friuli, Venezia, Giulia, maybe by 2033 if all goes well. But in the meantime, I hope this podcast helps you to explore the elegance and layered history of Trieste and its surrounding region. In the meantime, you can find my current books on Amazon by searching Caterina with a K, Ferrara, or on my website, there's links, caterinaferrara.com. There you'll find also the blog that's associated with this episode, other podcast episodes, and always travel tips. I love hearing from you if you have questions about Trieste or any region of Italy, ideas for future episodes, or you want to share your own travel stories, just email me at caterina@caterinaferrara.com, or you can use the contact form on my website. Thanks again for joining me on Immersion Travel Italy. Until next time, travel slowly, travel intentionally, and let the places you visit tell their stories.